Hi, welcome back to the channel. Andrew Harrison here. Today I've got just a short summary of some of the Bowline family of knots. Not all of them, but just a few that are useful to arborists, so hope you enjoy that. I've also thrown in a couple of midline knots, which includes the Bowline on the Bight and also the Alpine butterfly. Also compare the ability of a bowline, which is an open knot, kind of a round loop knot, and its ability to stick on a carabiner should the carabiner come undone accidentally. Compare that with the scaffold knot, and also compare that with just a normal tight splice. That's the tight splice there. That one there compared to an open knot, which is of course a bowline. Bowline there. Excellento. Into the knots one by one. This is a single bowline, and I'll do this twice, but you might notice with each of these knots I'm starting the knot tying process by holding the rope in the same position each time. So you can see here I've made a P, then the tail goes through the hole in the P and then round the standing part and then back through, dressing it by pulling the tail and the loop. Really important that you hold that loop. This time I'm just doing a figure of 8 stop knot in the tail just to back it up. If you were going to climb on this single bowline, you would always want to have a backup knot in that tail just so it can't slip through. So next one is a double bowline. This is my preferred knot if I'm going to be climbing on an open style knot. Really it's the same process, it's just two loops in that letter P when you set it up to start, and most of the time I'll just tuck the tail back up the back there. With any of these knots, just slow down the video and the settings on the YouTube little cog at the bottom of the video. If you want to skip forward, feel free, or speed it up if you want to too. So again, double bowline, this time with a more serious backup. So pulled a bit more tail through this time and just shortening the loop a little bit to create a little bit more tail, dressing and setting the knot. Just make sure everything's pulled tight. The double bowline does take a little bit more dressing before you can set it, just because of those two loops. So here I'm doing a fisherman's knot above the bowline, and that's just an extra backup. It's not absolutely necessary, but it does keep the tail out of the way of your knot. It makes it a little bit harder to untie, obviously. There's just an extra knot, but very secure, and good if you are going to be staying on that knot for quite some time, and there's just absolutely no chance that it could fail. Here's an alternative method for tying a single bowline. So you're basically doing a marlin spike from above and then popping the tail through that marlin spike, capsizing the marlin spike, and there you have a single bowline. Great trick. If you don't know this one already, just practice it a few times and show your workmates. They should be impressed, I think. Bang, simple as that. So it doesn't really work for the double bowline, unfortunately. Once more, just for fun. Easy. Works with the running bowline too. I haven't got the running bowline in this video. Do that in another one, along with other knots that are useful for canopy anchors. So these ones are really useful for other purposes. So this is the bowline on a bight, so make a large bight in the rope. Notice there I've got both legs going over my hand, then the loop that comes through the circle of rope goes over both of those loops below, and dress it by pulling down the right hand side of that double loop. Notice how it's you've got two loops, they can both be loaded. If you're only attaching one item to the loops, attach it to both, because if they are unequally loaded, the knot can slip a little bit. And this is an Alpine butterfly. This is one method to tie it, so you might want to replay this if you don't catch it first time and slow it down. So I call that the figure of 8 method, because you're making one twist then another twist on top. And then this is the 3 wrap method, 3 times around the hand, the outside one into the middle, then the new outside one goes over and tucks through the other 2 loops. So again, you might want to play that back a few times if this is new to you. Alright, in this next segment we'll compare termination attachments. So if you're attaching a carabiner to a splice, it's nice and tight. If you are attaching a bowline, any kind of bowline, it's always going to be loose on that carabiner, so you've got that chance of the carabiner rotating, then cross-loading the carabiner, but also there's a higher risk of the knot coming out if the carabiner were to open for some reason. So for that reason, my preference when using a knot on a carabiner is the scaffold knot, which we're going to go over here. So sometimes called a fisherman's noose. Technical name is a scaffold knot. But it's a great knot because it's easy to tie. It is self-tightening, just slides down nice and tight and snug on that carabiner, can't fall off, doesn't come undone. As long as you've got a decent tail, you don't necessarily need to back it up. And as you can see there, once it's off the carabiner, it's easily untied as well. So this one here, I am backing it up just for an example really. So a normal scaffold knot, but an extra long tail, and then a fisherman's knot on top, or half a fisherman's knot really, I guess this is, because a fisherman's knot is a joining knot when you're making a prusik loop or things like that. So this works really well, keeps that tail out of the way. One limitation with the scaffold knot is it's not recommended when you are using a hitch climber setup, because that knot can interfere with the friction hitch. So I'll go over that another time in another video. I need to do a video on setting up the hitch climber. Well, that concludes this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Try and get some more content coming soon. Stay safe out there.